Okay, well, it looks like everyone's here. So welcome to the November 16th rent control meeting. This meeting is being broadcast on Zoom and through our Easton Cable TV, ECAT. We're going to go right into this. I'm going to ask for a roll call vote to enter into an executive session for discussion of existing litigation regarding the Easton Mobile Home Commission, LLC manufacturing of housing community, town of Easton, etc., versus Easton MHC LLC 1873 CV 00262. Before we do that, actually, let me just do the acceptance of the minutes, just because I don't want to forget that on the way back out again. So we have minutes of February 10th, 2020 and July 27th, 2020. Would somebody like to make a motion to accept both sets of those minutes?
So moved, Barger.
Second, Broussard.
And a roll call vote, Craig?
Barger, yes.
Broussard, yes.
King, yes.
Lamb, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. And so now we will take the roll call vote to go into that executive session, starting with you, Craig.
Barger, yes.
Broussard, yes.
King, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes. So
Dottie, I may have missed it, but just to clarify, the board will be coming back into the open session.
yes, I'm sorry, I neglected to say that. So actually, I didn't take a motion and a second to enter into executive session to return back to open session. So if somebody would like to make the motion and the second on that.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Broussard.
And all in favor?
Barger, yes.
Broussard, yes.
King, yes.
Lamb, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. And we did take the roll call vote. So sorry, this was a little bit clumsy. We are going to go into the executive session to come back to open session, and we will try to make it as brief as possible. Thank you, everyone. And for our select board, you got an email with the instructions and the link to get into the executive session. All right. In a minute.
Anybody home?
Hello. So
Hello.
we're waiting for Tom and Mark.
There you are. It's rare that I beat anybody.
So we're just waiting. Oh, is Tom in yet? There he is. Okay. So we have all the select board members back and Town Administrator Connor Reed. I believe that our attorney Kate Federoff is going to dial in. So I'm going to issue kind of a prepared statement on this now that we're back. And I'll start by saying it's with great pleasure that this board announces further progress in the receivership action of the mobile home park. And I want to just go through some of the steps on what that means. Specifically, the receiver has nearly completed his negotiations with a potential purchaser. And that sounds a little bit different than what it's a little bit different than what it sounds like. So first I want to go through the steps. First, the receiver solicits bids. Secondly, interested parties have the opportunity to provide bids to purchase. This is accomplished by providing the receiver with a term sheet. The term sheet cannot be contingent upon financing. Further, due diligence must be completed to ensure the financing sufficient.
Streaming.
You're locked up, Donnie.
Term sheet, which demonstrated the entity had the financial backing to support the project, including the base purchase price and remediation of the property. Upon receipt of the term sheet, the receiver begins the arduous negotiation of the asset purchase agreement, which includes the terms and conditions of the sale and which is binding on all potential purchasers. The highlights of the agreement include: 1, adequate financing; 2, a binding continuing commitment to complete the necessary infrastructure repairs at the park; and 3, the agreement to purchase the property as is. Once the asset purchase agreement is fully and completely negotiated, it's submitted to the court for the court's approval. At the same time, the receiver asks the court to approve procedures for the submission of counter offers for the park. Then the court calls for an auction to occur, and the court specifies the process to be followed at the auction. All interested parties are invited to submit their bids at the auction, subject to the terms specified by the court and the procedures established by the court. The court determines which offer should be accepted by determining which is the highest and best offer. Thus, it's not based on the purchase price alone, though that is a factor. It is also based on remediation costs, timeline, and other relevant factors. Once the court makes the determination, the receiver is authorized and directed by the court to execute the deed and convey the property. The ultimate goal for us has always been to further improve healthy and safe living conditions at the park, and this goal is becoming more possible as we continue along the path. So I wanted to say that, also to say that this paperwork will be filed in court within the next few days, and the other parties will receive copies of that. We won't be speaking to the direct terms or conditions of this at this time, as we're not really the proper party to do that. It will go through the courts. And I want to take a second to really, I've been on the board since 2013, and this has been ongoing even before that, the issues at the park. I want to thank our previous boards for rent control boards for moving this forward and taking bold steps to really ensure that we were going to be able to someday find a resolve to this. I want to thank the community for voting for a rent control board in the first place to show our support of the residents that lived in the park, and also this board for its due diligence and tireless work on this. We're really committed to this. We really care. We've really gotten to know a lot of the people that live in the mobile home park, and we care about their health and safety, like I said earlier. So I just want to, our attorney also, and Connor, of course, and our staff for getting us this far. Excited to see what happens and how we move forward. And at this point, I will say that there is one hand raised in the chat. I'm sorry, in the participants, and I'm trying to see where that is now. It's Attorney Aylesworth. Attorney Aylesworth, if you'd like to put a question in the chat that I haven't been able to answer, please do that and I'll read it. And if we can answer it, we will. So I'll give Attorney Aylesworth a second to type that into the chat. Okay, hang on one second. Attorney Aylesworth says, thank you. I was wondering why the submittal from the receiver is not treated as a public record. And our answer to that is that we were only looking at that just to see if there were any, serious material differences or issues with the way that it was written. We were not looking at that to make recommendations otherwise. And our attorney, Kate, if you want to speak to that, but we are not the party involved in that, so we can't make the recommendations until it goes to the, or we can't make the statement on it until it goes through the court. Is that?
Yeah, so it was submitted to the town as a courtesy because the town really spearheaded this process by seeking a receivership in the first place. So since it was sent to us out of a courtesy and given it to us as a confidential document, we are unwilling to disclose it at this point. But as Dottie pointed out earlier, it is expected to be submitted to the court in the next couple of days. And at that point, it will be public record and everyone will receive an actual copy.
Okay. So with that, I will take a motion to adjourn the rent control meeting, and then we will automatically open up the select board meeting on this Zoom call. So if somebody would like to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Broussard.
So Barger, Broussard, and a roll call.
Barger, yes.
Broussard, yes.
King, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes. Thank you, everyone. And thank you to everyone that attended to watch this tonight.
Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
Thanks.
So
Thank you.